Hello, good morning, and welcome to FPL Mate. It is a Saturday morning. It is a deadline day, of course, and yeah, it's the final double game week of the season. How about that? Can't quite believe it. 3 deadlines left. It seems absolutely wild. What's going on with my hair today? I have no idea. Perhaps it's a hat day. Is it a hat day today? Might have to be. Might have to be. Dealing with a bedhead situation. It's a Saturday morning. Come on. Yes. I'm still not sure what transfers I'm going to make. I'm not locked in at all for this game week, which is that worrying? I don't know. There's a problem. I've got too many choices. Because I've had 4 transfers for this game week. It's kind of like it's kind of spoilt for choice, if that makes sense. However, I think I might go for Gyökeres. I think I might do it. It just seems kind of fun. It really does seem kind of fun to do João Pedro to Gyökeres. I feel like we've got to triple up on Arsenal at least by next week for the Burnley game, right? It's just got to be done. So, do we just go 1 week early and go Gyökeres now? I know I'm going to get Saka. I just cannot convince myself on any of the Arsenal defenders outside of Gabriel because I just can't see where the upside is. Let's bring up my team in front of us. Actually, that would probably be a pretty good start, and I'll show you just how few transfers I've made. Which is 0. Well, no, it's not 0 actually because I did Cherki pretty early on, didn't I? But yeah, it's that doesn't seem to be in the right place. Okay, we need to move this. Oh no, do we need to move this? Like, hang on, let me get this lined up for us. And then we can see everything beautifully and wonderfully. Yeah, I just feel like the Arsenal defenders, who am I going to go for? I can't convince myself on Calafiori. Saliba, yes, he's a good solid pick. And if I was like, I don't know, if I was super happy with my rank, I might go for someone like Saliba and just collect the save points. If maybe Ben White, again, I'm not really seeing the upside on any other Arsenal player generally, other than Gabriel, Saka, and Gyökeres. These are the higher risk, higher reward kinds of players. And that's how I want to kind of tackle the final few game weeks. We've got Nikhil with the super chat here who says, "Morning, Dan. Gibbs White seems likely out for the rest of the season." I don't know about the rest of the season, but yeah, I think he will be out this week. So taking a 4-point hit, done Gibbs White to Saka and Thiago to Welbeck. Bench boost on for double game week 36. Very nice indeed. Yeah, I mean, I think Gibbs White to Saka, Thiago to Welbeck. That's probably worth the hit. That's probably worth the hit, but yeah, for a lot of people, they can probably bench. I think the difficulty with why are some people saying no sound, by the way? Is this like a new troll? Because there's plenty of people also just responding perfectly well in the chat to the things that I'm saying. So I know there is sound. But yeah, for bench boosters, you know, if you have got players who are doubtful, yeah, maybe hits do make sense. Yeah, a lot of people saying that sound is fine. You know what? I kind of knew it was. Sidhu with a super chat here says, "Please start 2 out of 3. Wilson, Thiago, João Pedro." I would play João Pedro and probably Wilson, to be fair. Bench Thiago. I don't think you have to bench Thiago necessarily, but certainly something that you could do. Right, I'm going to lock in one more transfer now. Just because I know I'm doing this move. There's nothing that can change my mind on this one. It's going to be Saka in for Palmer. So that will be my second free transfer, which will just leave me Strauch to Lacroix. And I think I'm going to do João Pedro to Gyökeres. It's either João Pedro to Gyökeres or Tavernier to Szoboszlai or roll the 4th transfer. And I'm not 100% sure yet. But yeah, I'm going to do this move. Palmer to Saka. I think it makes a lot of sense. So this is where we would therefore be at team-wise. And yeah, just at least one transfer to make minimum. We'll see. We'll see where we go there. I think Lacroix is an interesting one. I think Crystal Palace players are an interesting one generally because if you need that defender slot, if you like, for the remainder of the season, and you're going to need a useful player for 37 and 38, then maybe going for a Lacroix is not such a great idea, particularly if you're limited on transfers. But if, like me, and a lot of you guys will be in the same situation, where actually, you know, you're happy to play Van Hecke, O'Reilly, Gabriel next week, and then the week after that, you're happy to play probably O'Reilly, Gabriel, and maybe Hill or Senesi instead of your Van Hecke, and you actually in my situation, it's the Strauch slot in the team is actually not really needed outside of game week 36. I think it's fine to go for a Crystal Palace defender. Of course, the other option is to bring in Lacroix with a view to switch him out to maybe an Arsenal defender next game week as well. That is a potential move. Another option is bring in a Crystal Palace defender this week and then switch them to an Everton defender next week. But again, if you're bringing in players as a kind of 1 week punt and you know you're going to have to make another transfer to remove them, again, maybe it's just a wise idea to be a little bit more cautious with transfers if you are more restricted, if you have fewer transfers. We'll see. Jack says, I'm scared that Semeno will have 2 good games and get good points and Cherki plays bad. I mean, yeah, it's definitely possible. But, you know, you could definitely argue the other way around as well. I think if you're worried and it's not a transfer move you're comfortable with and you quite like Cherki, then absolutely switching Semeno to Cherki just for the sake of it is just it's just such a luxury transfer. There's no point in doing it if you're not confident. Sidhu says, is going for Raya in game week 37 a good idea? Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for the baseline 6 points max, then yeah, fine. It's however not a particularly high upside pick. So it depends what you're doing. If you're just trying to consolidate, get some safe points, then by all means, Rayas and Salibas are really good picks. But if you're looking for something a little bit more explosive, then I think you're going to have to look elsewhere. Royal Patience, thank you very much for the super sticker. Much appreciated. And I think it was below, I don't know if you wanted to put a message in there, but I think it's below YouTube. YouTube has its own threshold for minimum super chat before you can add a message. I know. But if you do have any messages, Royal Patience, I will keep an eye in the chat. Start Pedro or Tavernier. I would start Pedro over Tavernier. Newbie says, hi mate, what order would you bench these players? Hill, Anderson and DCL. I would... Would I worry about Anderson a little bit? I think you have to worry about Anderson a little bit, given that he is coming off the back of that European game. I think I would possibly still play Anderson. I play Anderson and maybe DCL. Royal Patience here says, my bad, lol. Hi, Dan. My bench is Dubravka, Alderete, Anderson, and Bowen. Would you use your bench boost or wait for next week? I wouldn't bench boost that, no. I would not bench boost that bench. Hopefully it will look a bit better next week and you can maybe improve it further with some transfers. Start Pedro, Tavernier, or Mitoma? I would definitely start Mitoma. Basically, any starting Brighton players that you have, with the exception of someone like Vifer, who is potentially injured, but any like attacking, certainly you're nailed on defenders, you're nailed on attackers. I think they're just plays. Mitoma, obviously Pascal Gross, Danny Welbeck, Van Hecke, Kadioglu, Verbruggen, all of them must start. Must start. Is it worth looking at Dewsbury Hall yet? Potentially. If you're looking for something really cheap, cheap and cheerful, then yeah, I would be happy to go for Dewsbury Hall. I do wonder if there are better options, but again, it totally depends what you're looking for. If you need someone cheap, then Dewsbury Hall is perfect. He's just the best cheap option, really, isn't he? So Mitoma is nailed on, no minutes risk. I don't think we can say he's 100% nailed on, but I believe he is first choice. And I believe that Brighton, given the situation that they're in, where Champions League football is genuinely on the cards for Brighton now, they only need to finish 6th to get Champions League football. And I mean, if we look at the Premier League table, you can see that it's not looking too bad for Brighton here. This is very, very possible. Like, Bournemouth have to play City still next week, so they could potentially drop points there. Brentford, who do Brentford play? They play someone tough, don't they? Oh well, they play City this week, don't they? And then do they play Liverpool, or does that already happened? We'll probably verify that. Is it Liverpool final day of the season for Brentford? Yeah, it is. So there definitely points to be dropped from Bournemouth and Brentford. And Brighton, on the other hand, Wolves this week, which I think is a great fixture. Leeds next week. It's an okay fixture. It's a decent fixture. And then Man United at home in 38. And that's going to be an on-the-beach Manchester United team with nothing to play for and probably heavily rotating. It's genuinely a good opportunity for 3 out of 3 wins for Brighton. And if that's the case, then if Aston Villa win the Europa League and Brighton can get 3 out of 3 wins and finish 6th, huge for them. Really, really good. Is Gibbs White available? He is very much doubtful. If I had to guess, I would say he probably does not start in game week 36. Michael Keane this week or next week. And but Wirtz or Szoboszlai this week. I mean, by the way, Wirtz has been ill this week, by the way. So I don't know if that impacts his availability or not. You know what? I wonder if I can get some Liverpool team news. May as well ask. Well, I've inquired about Liverpool news, but yeah, just to give you a small warning about Wirtz has been ill. Szoboszlai I really like though. I do like Szoboszlai. I do like him as a pick. So much so I'm thinking about going for him. And I think maybe Szoboszlai's a higher priority than Keane this week. Is that true? I don't know if that's true, actually. If you need a defender this week and you don't fancy a Crystal Palace defender, going for Keane is not the worst idea, because you're going to probably get DEFCON against Palace. There is some opportunities there. Would I bring in Lacroix from -4? No. I would not. Have one transfer left. Would you transfer DCL for Welbeck? Maybe. If you had 5 transfer, how would you play it with your team? I do have 5 transfers. Well, no, that's a lie. I do have 4 transfers, which is close to 5. It's a similar number. What would I do? Well, I have 2 transfers left, so I definitely do the Strauch to Lacroix move, and then I do the Joao Pedro to Gyökeres move, and then I'd roll the final transfer. Either Joao Pedro to Gyökeres or Tavernier to Szoboszlai. Those are the 2 obvious moves that I see in my team. But I think as an Arsenal fan, given that Gyökeres has been in good form, playing well at the moment, and given that I need that triple Arsenal for next game week, I may as well just do the Gyökeres move. And there is a good chance that I change my mind on Szoboszlai for next week anyway. But I think just Liverpool players against Aston Villa in game week 37, who we think will probably rotate heavily, could be really nice. Samir says, "Would you won't consider Porro against Leeds?" My concern with Pedro Porro is that he's offset pieces now, and Tell has been taking them, and I do think that massively dampens the appeal of Pedro Porro, because so much of what we liked about him is, routes to points, and now he's lost the route. Do we trust Spurs enough as a team to pick players unless they have a lot of things going for them? And I'm not sure that Pedro Porro has enough going for him anymore to pick him. Hi Dan, would you start at Raya over Bruggen this week? So double Arsenal defence or double Brighton defence? Good question. Shame you don't have a bench boost. I think Rob T put out some updated clean sheet numbers this morning. It was I believe Brighton ahead before, and that remains to be the case by some margin as well. So that really does suggest that you go for Verbruggen over Raya this game week, which is not something we would necessarily expect to say. But yes, could be a week where actually Raya is benchable. He's benchable from multiple goalkeepers, really, isn't he? He's benchable for Henderson. He's benchable for Verbruggen, as we mentioned. He's benchable for Donnarumma. I mean, looking at these clean sheet odds, he's even potentially benchable for Martinez. Can't believe it. How is Raya so far down the pecking order? We've got FPL Nath in the chat. Says, "Yo, Dan, hope you're well." I am. Thank you, Nath. Your thoughts on Chow and Dango to Lacroix and Sobo from -4 hit, please? And it's a bench boost. Given that he's a bench boost, does that impact things? Would I just do? I would think about just doing Dango to Szoboszlai, because Chow to Lacroix is not a it's not a financial move, is it? It's not like a freeing up money move, a funding move. Because the way I look at it, yes, I definitely agree that Dango to Szoboszlai is an upgrade. There's no real doubt about that. However, and Szoboszlai also useful for future game weeks as well. However, Chow to Lacroix, what would you rather take? Chow and 4 points or Lacroix? So let's say Chow, we're expecting him to get 2 points this game week, which is possible. 2 point Chow plus 4 points, 6 points total. Would you rather take 6 points Chow or Lacroix? Do you think Lacroix outscores 6 points, basically? And there's a very good chance Lacroix does not outscore 6 points. If Palace concede in both games, then Lacroix is maxed at 8 points, really. More likely 6 or 7, maybe 5, 6 or 7, if they concede in both games. But if you think Lacroix, you fancy him for a clean sheet, and there's nothing wrong with fancying him for a clean sheet, and maybe you could go for that. I think if I'm being super, super strict on likely outcomes, average predicted outcomes, I would say that Chow plus 4 points is more valuable in game week 36 than Lacroix. And I would go one step further and say, actually, maybe Chow could be pretty useful for the final few game weeks of the season as well. Because Newcastle, in 37, they have West Ham at home, which is not bad. Game week 38, they've got Fulham away. Like, these are playable fixtures for Chow, but they're not really playable fixtures for Lacroix. You're going to play Lacroix away against Brentford? I mean, maybe. Are you going to play him against Arsenal? Definitely not. So I think if it's my team, no. But if you really do fancy it, yes. I like the Szoboszlai move, though. Right, what else have we got here in the chat? Questions about triple captain Haaland. I would say if you still have your triple captainship, just use it and use it on Haaland. Wouldn't get fancy with that one. Wouldn't even overthink it. Just lock it in immediately. It's a very obvious use of the triple captainship this week. Yeah, you're not going to get a better opportunity to use the triple captainship. And, even if you're thinking, oh, I might go for someone slightly different on the triple captain, unless you're seriously behind in your mini leagues and your rank targets, like, going for Haaland as a triple captain is already a differential. Do you really need to differentiate even more with a triple captain? Probably not. Probably not. Eza with bench boost. I mean, if you're talking about buying Eza, then I probably wouldn't personally, because I'm still not completely convinced on his minutes. And indeed his performances, to be honest, from an FPL perspective. Can I just say that? Hi Dan, Kusanov worth a punt. I have O'Reilly and I do not have access to Gahey. No. No. If you have O'Reilly and presumably Haaland, and you're missing a Man City player, that means you're missing Cherki probably. Well, you're definitely missing one of Cherki or Haaland, right? But I would make that your priority. Switch out a midfielder for Cherki if you haven't got him. Oh, there's too much upside in the Man City attack to go for a Kusanov. There's so much opportunity cost by going for someone like Kusanov. You're welcome, Nate. For the record, I don't think Lacroix is going to get rested. I do think he plays 2 for 2. But my sensible hat says that Chow is the sensible player to keep. But that said, do want to put this out there. Lacroix, I think, has more upside than Chow this week. I think most people will agree that Lacroix has more upside than Chow. So if you really fancy Lacroix, you really fancy chasing the upside, then yes. But if you want to just be sensible and consolidate, I don't think it's a must-do move at all. Right, what else have we got here? Wishful thinking, yeah. I mean, to be fair, there's going to be a lot of wishful thinking this week. A lot. Like, Cherki owners are going to be preying on the downfall of Semeno and vice versa. I've seen a lot of people buy all kinds of Crystal Palace players, Munoz, Mateta. If I'm not going for Munoz, Mateta, Sarr, I want them to be benched, but I don't know if all of them will. Start Van Dijk or James Hill? Probably Hill, I think. Our Palace player is worth it. If you have a lot of free transfers, if you have a lot of free transfers and you are bringing them in with full acknowledgement that you are not going to be able to use that slot in your team in future game weeks without spending another transfer, then yes. I would just encourage, if you're buying Crystal Palace players, if you are doing it, I would encourage you to have a think. What is your team going to look like game week 37? What is your team going to look like game week 38, including that Palace player? Does it screw you over? Does it mean you're going to be forced to play that Palace player? Does it mean you're going to be forced to play a player that you don't want to play? Would you take a hit for a City mid? Yeah, I would. I would. If you're not triple City, I would take a hit to get to triple City. One transfer left. Should I get Gabriel, Lacroix, or just roll? I certainly think Gabriel is a much higher priority than Lacroix. Because again, Lacroix is great for this week, but Gabriel is great for 3 game weeks. If going for Gyökeres instead of Welbeck, which midfielder from Brighton would you suggest? Probably Hinchelwood. Someone just asked, David asked, Isak or Hinchelwood. Given that Isak is doubtful for this week, and I am trying to get some Liverpool team news. If I can manage to get the Liverpool team sheet, I will share it. But yeah, it's Hinchelwood. And probably would be Hinchelwood even if Isak was confirmed starting. Just to reiterate, because Michael seems very keen on getting this question answered. Yes, triple captain Haaland. Don't overthink that one. Hi, Dan. Should I sell Saliba and Rodgers for Saka and Bijou? No. No, you should not do that. No, you should not. Who would you sell to get a City mid? Dewsbury Hall, Wirtz, or Stack? Maybe Stack. I mean, if you can afford to go Stack to Cherki in one move, then yeah, that's a big improvement. Yeah, I mean, Stack to Cherki definitely works as a transfer if you do it in one. But if the only way to do it in one is to do Wirtz to Cherki, then I would do that instead. Should I sell Semeno for Cherki with no free transfers left? No. Cherki in for Semeno for a hit is going to be not worth it in pretty much any scenario. Yeah, it's not a move I would be taking a hit for at all. There's actually very few moves I would take a hit for. The only people who really should be taking hits this week, unless your team really is in tatters and you've not planned ahead very well, which is fine, it happens to the best of us, then it's really only bench boosters that should be considering hits this week. And even then, you may be looking at one hit. Your team has got to be in a pretty bad spot to be making multiple hits. And I hope that that's not the case. And for a lot of people, your team will not be as bad as you think it is. Thiago or Mateta, what to buy or to start? If you have Mateta, start him, but I wouldn't buy him. I'm on a bench boost and I have Gibbs White. Worth transferring him out? Yes. To Szoboszlai, probably. Unless you can get to Saka, or if you don't have a Cherki. Okay, so Cherki, the priority order is probably Cherki, Saka, and then, Bruno Fernandes, obviously. And then at that point, you're probably looking at Szoboszlai for me. Some people like Bruno Guimaraes as well, Bruno G. So you can maybe go for Bruno G. Should I start Joao Pedro or Calvert? Definitely Joao Pedro, I think. Henderson will play double game. Yeah, I don't see why Henderson wouldn't start both games. He should do. I think him and Lacroix are the two most nailed on Crystal Palace players. Yusuf says, thank you for your advice last week for starting both Hill and Senesi. You're welcome. Yeah, I felt quite passionately about that one. I really, really went into some detail last week, didn't I? I said, just start your Bournemouth defenders. So I'm really glad that paid off. Is this my final team? No. There's no final teams an hour and a half before deadline. There's no such thing. Bench Tavernier or Senesi is both an option. Hi, mate. Would you rather have Raya or Gyökeres for the remainder of the season? If you are playing it, one, it depends who you're transferring out. Verbruggen to Raya doesn't seem worth it this week. I'd rather have Verbruggen. So a lot of it's going to come down to who you're transferring out. But the bigger picture answer for me is if you want to play it safe and just collect your safe points, then Raya. If you want to take a risk, try and chase some upside a little bit, then Gyökeres. -4 for Lacroix or any other Crystal Palace player? No. It's honestly, it's pretty much -4 for nobody. Unless you're on a bench boost, you're 99% of you should not be taking hits this week. You're going to have a strong enough bench to cover. Shepsy flexing that he is a member for 63 months. That's a very long time. It's a very long time. What's the next membership tier after that? 6 years, which would be 72 months. Whew. Wow. Scott with the members chat here says, "Hi Dan, the plan was Strauch and Palmer to Lacroix and Saka with 0.2 in the bank for a third Arsenal in 37. Do Semeno to Cherki instead of one of them or -4? Not -4 worthy. It depends who you would play instead of Strauch. If you have another decent defender who you're happy to play this week instead of Strauch, then you could maybe do the Semeno to Cherki move instead of the Strauch to Lacroix move. However, I think probably stick with Strauch and Palmer to Lacroix and Saka. I know some people are going to get FOMO on the Semeno to Cherki move, and I totally get it. But it is a luxury move. I can't stress that enough, really. I made the move because I'm in a privileged position of a lot of free transfers. Had I been on 2 or 3 transfers, I probably wouldn't have made that move. You play Hill instead, Scott? I think I would just forego Cherki. Just keep Semeno. Semeno's fine. Semeno's absolutely fine. And you're going to be in good company. Most people will have Semeno and won't have Cherki. It will be close. I think Semeno will be in about 55% of teams, maybe 60% of teams. And Cherki will be in about 40 to 45% of teams. So it'll be reasonably close, but Semeno will be the popular boat to be in. What do you think about Gahey to O'Reilly as a free transfer? It's a similar kind of move to Semeno to Cherki. If you really have nothing better to do, then do it. But in most cases, you will. Scott says, I like Semeno. It's just I'd have to take a hit next week for a third Arsenal. Oh, so you would have to take a hit next week regardless. Would I do it? I still don't think I would do it. Because you might... Here's another point. If City drop points against Brentford or Palace, and this is very, very possible, if City drop points and Arsenal beat West Ham, suddenly we're looking at a situation where the Premier League might be done and dusted by Gameweek 38. And as such, you're no longer going to want to have triple City. You might not want to have triple Arsenal because you'll be worried about rotation. And as such, your ideas on what you might use your transfers on might change quite quickly. And that is definitely something I've been thinking about, when making that Gyökeres move for this week. Yes, I want to get ahead of it. But, I'm very aware that the idea of getting to triple Arsenal or, the specific plans that we might go for might change quite quickly. And actually, suddenly, Man City players might become sells. If I buy Gyökeres, I think there is a decent chance I sell him in Gameweek 38. I'm looking at maybe Gyökeres to Bowen in Gameweek 38, for example. So it'd be a 2-week punt for me. But we'll see. We'll see. It's so difficult because we're in those final game weeks of the season. Yes, you do want to bring in players who will do well for a few game weeks, and we absolutely have to do that. But we also need to be aware of the fact that the landscape can change very, very rapidly. So you kind of always have to keep one eye on, okay, what are the possibilities here? What could change? How likely is it to change? Does that impact what I'm going to do right now? It's really genuinely going to be an interesting end to the Premier League season. And we don't say that too often. The title challenge is ongoing. The race for Champions League football is still ongoing. The relegation battle is still ongoing. There's still a lots to play for, but with all that said, after the Gameweek 36 concludes, if Spurs get a win, if West Ham get a lose, if Forest get a win, maybe, if Aston Villa get a win, which they probably will, we don't know who. If someone drops points between Brighton, Brentford, Bournemouth, and Chelsea, maybe Everton and Fulham, and there's points shift around there, then what we're looking at right now could change massively. Arsenal beat West Ham and Man City maybe lose to Brentford. Then suddenly everything's kind of gone to pot in terms of that big title race. Lots of things are on right now, and some of them won't be by the conclusion of the game week, is what I'm trying to say. Lots of people asking about Joao Pedro. Should you start Joao Pedro versus various other players? I genuinely think, from most of what I've seen, you guys asking, Joao Pedro is the better player. And when we come, better pick for this week. And when we come to our bench list, which we will, of course, be doing, I am going to be putting Joao Pedro above a lot of these guys. I'm going to put him above Tavernier, above Van Dijk, above Scott, above Hill, above Calvert-Lewin. Lots of players. But I did just see Ahmed say about Gross, Pascal Gross, any Brighton player really are going to go above. Above Palmer? Would I put Joao Pedro above Palmer? It's tight. It's close. But I think I would back Palmer just for penalties. Which he doesn't always miss, believe it or not. Sometimes he does score them. Just not when I own him, apparently. Risking Strauch on a bench boost. Well, I mean, look, the current prediction is that Strauch is going to start. The latest suggests that he is going to play. So if you've got free transfers to burn, by all means, Strauch, transfer him out. I mean, you can do better than Strauch away against Spurs regardless. But if you're talking about taking hits for Strauch, maybe something to reconsider. Is there a chance Watkins doesn't start? And people have pushed back on this, mostly Watkins and Rodgers owners. I just don't know how you can be 100% confident that Aston Villa go full strength against Burnley. There's got to be some rotations and some casualties in that game. It was something like less, I was like 58 hours between the two games. I don't know what exactly, but it's less than 3 days between their Europa League semi-final game against Forest and their game against Burnley, which is tomorrow. It's the early game tomorrow. And as such, you feel that some players are not guaranteed. I mean, Watkins picked up maybe a little head injury there as well. So you're going to kind of wondering about him a little bit. Could there be some rotation? Absolutely, there could. I do still think Aston Villa they're not going to play their B team. Aston Villa will not play their B team against Burnley. They will want to get a win there and secure Champions League football via league position. But to say with confidence that Watkins and Rodgers are going to start, that is something I am unable to do. I would say Watkins 70% to 75% to start. I say Rodgers 80 to 85% to start. Something like that. Which sounds a lot for Rodgers, but really, by his standards, that is low. Because usually he's like a 99% to start every single game. So I think both of them will start. I just don't think it's guaranteed. And I think they are more rotation risk than usual. Max says you didn't end up getting Lacroix. I didn't end up getting Lacroix yet. We still got a little while till deadline. I am going to do the Lacroix move. Shall I do that now? Should we get that one locked in? And then we can make that final decision whether to do that Joao Pedro to Yoki. We'll make that final decision. So Strouk to Lacroix. And make that transfer. Why wait? Okay, happy days. So we are down to one free transfer. And yeah, I think I'm gonna do Joao Pedro to Gyökeres. I'm not 100%. Unless someone can convince me I shouldn't do it, then I'm gonna do it. I'm waiting for someone or something to change my mind. All right, Munoz and Lacroix. I mean, in a way, I've kind of answered that question with my actions. Sophie with a good reminder here, actually, I really do need to encourage people to hit the like button. Please do like the stream. It's like one button. It's a good button. It takes like 1 second. And it really helps. It really does help. So click the like button, please. Please. I think Liverpool are terrible right now, so you can bet on Joao Pedro. You could say the literal same thing, but in reverse, about Chelsea. Don't get me wrong, Liverpool have not looked great. But are we trying to say that Chelsea have looked better? I don't know about that. City have been inconsistent this season. They can still drop points to Palace, I reckon. I don't know about that. I think Palace are so on the beach, in the Premier League at least, that it would have to be a true disaster class for Man City to lose to Palace at home. More people really thinking about benching Senesi. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised how high I put Joao Pedro on the bench list. I think it's because Liverpool away sounds like a bad fixture. It's really not. Liverpool is a good fixture. Chelsea is also a good fixture. Liverpool just defending. Liverpool's defending right now is not good. It's worrying. A bit of a weird formation set up last game week. And unless they change things quickly, are they in danger of dropping enough points to start putting them in the kind of danger zone? Chelsea is terrible defensively, but they can attack when they're on it. Well, I mean, they can, I guess, but they've scored one goal in how many game weeks? Because they look positive when they attack a lot of the time, but they're not creating chances, really. So one goal in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One goal in 6 game weeks. 2 in 7 if you count Leeds in the FA Cup, which is still nothing spectacular. So they are struggling to generate chances, but the chances that they do generate seem to be largely around Joao Pedro. So I don't want to say that Joao Pedro is a bad pick. I don't think he is. And I think there is a good chance Joao Pedro gets something out of Gameweek 36. I think the upside is there with Gyökeres, and I like him for 2 game weeks. I would not take a hit to get Welbeck, no. I'm quickly realising that we're getting to that time of the season where people are very, very keen to take hits. It happens every year, doesn't it? The quantity of hits increases as the weeks for the hit to pay off decreases. Next week it'll be even more people trying to take hits, and in game week 38, forget about it. Half of the game is going to take hits. I guess it's just what you do, isn't it? You're desperate to try and make a change and try and make an improvement. And, you know, not much time to make a big difference, so people taking big swings with hits. But, like, sensible cap on, most of these hits are not going to be worth it at all. Like, a lot of people are trading fine players for slightly better players. Like, there's no doubt that Cherki is... Okay, there is some doubt. But I think Cherki's better than Semeno. But not enough to make a hit. I think Welbeck's better than DCL, not enough to make a hit. I think Saka's better than Palmer, not enough to make a hit. I think Crystal Palace players are good, but not good enough that I'd take a hit. There's lots of hits that people will be making that I don't know, I'm just not totally convinced by. But maybe that's me saying that because I don't have to take a hit, I'm kind of dismissing it, maybe. Because I've not really had to deep it for my own team. But don't get me wrong, I've taken plenty of hits at this stage of the season in previous seasons. I'll almost always regret it. So I'm just not doing it this year. I'm going to trust who I've picked. The players I've picked in my team, I picked for a reason. I picked them because I like them and I think they're good. And they could be just as good as anyone I bring in for a hit. Andrew says 3 free transfers, but can't help but feel Semeno to Cherki is such a sideways move, even though many have done this. And that is completely fair enough. And I to a degree agree with you. In many ways, it is sideways. But I think if you want to differentiate yourself, take a bit of a punt, and you have the free transfers, I think you can. I think it's a move that you can do. But it's not going to be for everyone. Will I minus for Lacroix? I'm really hoping you literally only just joined the stream, although you've posted that message a couple of times, so perhaps not. I just did a whole monologue about how you should probably not take hits. And I checked the chat. First question, would you take a -4 for Lacroix? I literally said don't take hits for Crystal Palace players as part of the monologue. What more can I do? You know what? If you're that desperate to take a hit, then do it. I can't stop you. I'm just saying that would I do it? No. No, I would not. I would not. Semeno to Cherki also frees up more cash. It does, and that is definitely some motivation to make that move. You know, if you need to make a downgrade somewhere to fund a different move, then certainly Semeno to Cherki is a nice one there. Saka instead of Palmer, yeah, for a quick transfer. Oh, it's okay. You just joined the stream. You must have literally joined the stream as I finished my "Don't Take Hits" monologue, and so it was just quite funny timing there. The way I just finished talking about "Don't Take Hits," then the immediate next question was, "Should I take a hit?" We got more hit questions. They're going to keep coming today, aren't they? They're going to keep coming. Cal keeps already apologized. So let's see to Gabriel -4 worth it. Oh. Okay. There are some exceptions to my don't take hits rule. And they are players who I think are, you know, the players who are the very, very best in the game. And I'm talking, get into Triple City. If you don't have Triple City in your team, take a hit to do that. No problem. You'll make that back. Gabriel? Are we putting Gabriel is kind of in that tier of elite FPL picks, must-have FPL picks? I think we probably are. So, in that sense, would I take a hit to do Senesi to Gabriel? I think I would. I think I would do that. He'd be one of the very, very few players who I would take a hit for. Fardine says pros and cons from going Semeno to Cherki for no hit. Okay. Well, caveat by saying this. I'll answer this quickly. Hey mate, so are you making a 4th transfer? I think so. I think I am going to, yes. It's no problem, Cal. It's no problem, my friend. Okay, pros and cons for going from Semeno to Cherki. First caveat, wouldn't do it for a hit. There's no way, if I had no free transfers, there is no way I would make the Semeno to Cherki move. No way. However, if you do have a couple of spare transfers and genuinely you have nothing else to do with them, you already have Triple City, you've already got, you know, Gabriel in your team, you've done your Palmer to Saka move, you've got a nice front line, you're happy with your team, you got Bruno in, you've maybe added a Crystal Palace player in, and you still have free transfers left over, then at that point, the benefits of bringing in Cherki for Semeno is that Cherki has slightly better minutes at the moment. We're seeing Semeno get subbed off early. You know, I think there's definitely potential for Semeno to maybe miss a game before the FA Cup. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying I think we need to acknowledge the possibility of it happening. Then we have underlying data. Right now, Cherki's kind of blowing Semeno out of the water in terms of underlying data, and most of that is creativity. So Cherki is creating so much. I mean, we can go, well, let's just check out the Opta Stats tool on Hub. And if we just go to midfielders, let's just go past 6 game weeks as a sample size. Just go XGI, top 20. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here as well. So oh, actually, no, I'm not. That looks a bit crap. Okay, so Cherki's here. And where is Semeno? Did I miss him? He's down here. He's all the way down here. So, Semeno, expected goal involvements, 1.3 over the past 6 game weeks. Cherki, despite being benched in one of these games, 3.0. So there is a gulf there. If we're looking at midfielders who take the most shots, no midfielder has taken more shots than Cherki. If we're looking for creativity, it's only a couple of players. It's Bruno and Enzo. Bruno and Enzo, the only 2 players who've created more chances than Cherki. So there is no doubt. I mean, if you watch Man City as well, obviously, I can't demonstrate watching Man City. I can do an impression of me watching Man City. Well, that Cherki looks quite good. So there, eye test as well. Also kind of favours Cherki. Cherki is on set pieces. We've seen him on the free kicks. We've seen him on corners. You know, so there is genuinely, in my opinion, minutes, performances, underlying data, set pieces that do put Cherki slightly above Semeno. And I know by doing all that, I've probably convinced a few people to make the move. If so, welcome to the team Cherki. And the other big factor for me is that more people are going to have Semeno than Cherki. And at the very least, there is going to be a split between Cherki and Semeno. And by differentiating yourself, and to be fair, no matter what side you're going to be on, you are going to be differentiated from at least 40% of the player base. No matter what side you end up on, but slightly more so if you're on the Cherki side, you're putting yourself in a position to overtake the other side, the Semeno side, if you like. If Cherki scores 20 points in the double and Semeno scores 4, that's a 16-point gain on over half of the player base of FPL, which is enormous. So if there is a big... But that does work both ways to a slightly smaller degree. But I think no matter what side you end up on, you're in an opportunity where if there's a big swing there, if there is going to be a big swing, you have the potential to be on the end of that big swing and make major gains. And with 3 weeks to go, that's what we want, right? We all want major gains. And I think the chances of Cherki significantly outscoring Semeno is higher than the chances of Semeno significantly outscoring Cherki. And that's kind of what I'm betting on. So that's why I'm doing it. I don't know if other people have different reasons, but for me, that's a convincing argument and enough to justify making the move. For me, for my team. And again, like we said at the beginning of that, it does depend on having already fixed other areas of your team. You know, making sure you've got Gabriel, doing Palmer to Saka. Maybe, you know, you might prefer Joao Pedro to Gyökeres. If so, fine. Maybe you want to get a Crystal Palace player. After you've done all that, it's Cherki time. It's time to tuck into your Thanksgiving Cherki. Christmas Cherki, possibly. Depending on where you are in the world. We did have a super chat from Kwekua, but no message in there. Kwekua, you do have a message. I have seen a message in the chat. Let's just see Christian's message first. He says, take a hit. Strouk to Van Hecker. I'm on bench boost. No, I wouldn't take that hit. And Kweku has gone in with a second super chat. Blimey, thank you very much, my friend. Very much appreciated. That very generous of you. It says, hi, mate. Team Kelleher, O'Reilly, Saliba, Gabriel, Anderson, Chow, Cherki, Bruno, Wilson, Saka, Haaland, bench to Bravka, Bowen, Dewsbury Hall, Thiago, start any bench instead, or -4 for Welbs or DCL. So let's see here. Kelleher versus Man City or Dubravka against Villa. Probably Kelleher. O'Reilly, Saliba, Gabriel looks good. Anderson. Is that Fulham Anderson? I think it possibly is Fulham Anderson. Ciao. Okay. I think I would play Dewsbury Hall over... I wouldn't take a hit. I would think I would take Dewsbury Hall over Chow this week. And then I'd maybe think about Thiago instead of Anderson. Maybe. That one I'm not as convinced by. So certainly Dewsbury Hall over Chow, and then maybe Thiago over Anderson. I'll leave that one with you. It's kind of a coin toss situation. Comedy Addict says, can you say it's Cherki time in the style of it's Chico time? What as in, it's Cherki time. Kind of works. Kind of works. You can get delirious if you take life too serious. It's Cherki time. Randy says, Strouk versus Hill, Scott, and Tavernier. What should I pick? Not Strouk, probably. I'm gonna say Scott. Actually, I'll say Scott. This is what I watch for, mate. Good, good. Why not starting your Bournemouth players instead of whom? Would be my retort. I am trying to get Liverpool team news, by the way. Just joined the stream. Thanks for the musical entrance. You're welcome. Should we get a bench list up and running? Because there seems to be a lot of bench-related questions today. And we do usually do a bench list 1 hour to deadline. Thoughts on Ez's minutes? I think they look okay, but, you know, far from guaranteed. But are the performances good enough to justify any minutes risk? FPL-wise. Is he creating enough? Is he shooting enough? My answer is probably no. Let's boot up a bench list, guys. And what I want you to do is maybe not every single one of you, because that would be quite a lot of messages in the chat, but like some of you, I would like you to put a player in the chat and the name of just one player who you are thinking about benching this week. One player you're thinking about benching. That could be a Bournemouth player, it could be Chelsea players, whatever. One name each. That's going to make it so much easier for me to read through and add some players to boot up this list. So we've got a lot of great suggestions already, guys. Thank you very much for that. I think we'll pretty much go in order of what we're seeing. So Joao Pedro is going to go in here. We're going to put Thiago in here. Let's see if we can rattle out a few players. I'm going to put Calvert-Lewin here. We need Tavernier in. I'm going to put Tavernier here. Alderete is going to go below all of these for me. I think. I fancy... Let's be honest, I don't fancy Alderete this week at all. Hill, I'm going to put tentatively here. Mitoma is going to go top. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go one further. I'm going to put Pascal Gross. I know some people have been asking about Pascal Gross today, so I'm going to throw him here. Any double game week players, I'm not going to put on this list. So if you're asking me, Sarr and Lacroix, you like we are back in our usual problem with the bench list. No matter how much I underline the word bench, no matter how clear I make the instructions on screen, people still try and treat this as a transfer tier list. I asked very specifically, and thank you so much for most of you. I really do appreciate it. I asked very specifically a player you are thinking about benching this game week. And you are telling me Lacroix. I can tell you with absolute confidence, I know that you are not thinking about benching Lacroix. I know you're not thinking about benching Lacroix. So don't try that one with me, Buster Brown. Sophie with a super chat here says, thank you for all your help over the season, Dan. Can't believe I'm ranked 8,592nd out of the overall rankings. That's incredible, Sophie. That really is impressive. And yeah, I hope I've been able to play a small part in helping you to achieve that. What a season. I'm quite jealous. I'm quite jealous. Maybe I should be taking some tips from you, Sophie, at this point. Right, anyway. Like the stream, guys. Over 300 of us haven't. It's true. True. Okay, Nath talking about Chow. Yeah, okay. I mean, Chow for me... I mean, he's above Alderete, let's put it that way. Strauch probably goes below Chow, to be honest. I think Spurs will score against Leeds. Virgil van Dijk. Watch him defend and watch him score. Not this week, I think. Liverpool just not on it defensively right now. Senesi for me is going to go below Tavernier, and I will clarify why I'm putting Hill that far below. Senesi that far below Hill. Hill is a really good defconner. He will get defcons even in games that are really difficult to get defcon in. Because Senesi is kind of a borderline defconner these days. Sometimes he'll get it, sometimes he won't. In games where it is difficult to get defcon, such as Fulham this game week, I think there is a very significant chance that this week Hill gets defcon and Senesi doesn't. I think there's a chance neither of them do as well. And I think there is a small chance, very small chance, that both of them do. But I think game weeks like last week, you know, we spoke about Hill and Senesi, and I said both of these players will get DEFCON. It's such a good DEFCON game that Senesi will be above the threshold, Hill will be miles above the threshold, but it doesn't matter. Whether you get 20 DEFCONs or 10 DEFCONs, you get the same amount of points. So Hill being that far above Senesi in terms of DEFCON numbers doesn't matter when you're playing in a good DEFCON game. However, when you're playing in a weak DEFCON game, such as Fulham, these margins do begin to matter. And that's why Senesi is going to be a bit lower than Hill. There you go. Right, Harry Wilson was suggested a couple of times. I would be okay with playing Wilson this week. I'm going to throw him somewhere in the region of Joao Pedro and Calvert-Lewin. Where exactly? I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to put him above Calvert-Lewin. Rodgers I would play. Dewsbury Hall and Bowen. Okay, Bowen I'm happy to put low. Might put him above Alderete, but that's about it. Okay, Bowen I'm happy to put low. Dewsbury Hall. Where do I put Dewsbury Hall here? He's not going super high, but he's not going super low either. Like Palace away from home. I don't think it's an amazing fixture for an attacker, really. Am I putting him above Tav? I think I am. I'm going to put him here. I didn't want to rush that one. Okay, Van Hecker, you 100% play. I'm going to put him up here. We've got some Andersons here as well. Both Andersons. Don't worry, we're not going to do the Anderson joke this game week. We're not going to do it this week. So let's go with Fulham Anderson. Pretty low this week. I mean, he'll possibly get DEFCON. Maybe here. I'm just going to be sensible and put Fulham. And then we'll put the other Anderson a little higher. I'm going to go... You know what? I'm going to go here. Cool. Right, Bowen's already on there. Why? What do you mean Gyökeres on the bench list? Okay. There's a few people who've just said Gyökeres. I'm calling you out specifically. Who can I see? Uvac, CDPQ2WQ. I would like you to answer me, why are you thinking about benching Gyökeres? And if you could give me a good answer, just any reason why you're thinking about benching Gyökeres in your team, I will add him to the bench list. I don't know how. I don't know what to do, chat. I don't know what to do. There's got to be a way to encourage people to stop treating the bench list like a tier list, of a transfer tier list. There's got to be a way. How do I do it? How? Okay. Dango and Stack. And Bruno G. Dango, Stack, and Bruno G. Okay, so Stack is just kind of like fine. Okay, the people who don't own Gyökeres are now answering that they don't like Gyökeres. If you don't like Gyökeres, why did you buy him in the first place? That's what I'm going to ask. Okay, so Stack is going to go in there. I'm happy with that. Bruno G needs to go somewhere as well. And Dango. Dango's going to go low, by the way. Pretty low. Is that harsh? Is that harsh? No, I don't think it is. At least Thiago has penalties, right? Bruno G. Bruno G, I'm kind of okay with playing this week. I think he's like a fine play this week. Like Forest is a good time to play Forest, I think, after what happened on Thursday. So let's put Bruno G somewhere in the Joao Pedro vicinity. Here? Okay. We need Sobo on the list. Why? Why do we need Soboslai on the list? Yeah, I guess I can put Declan Rice on here because I actually don't think he's that good of an FPL asset. He's not that bad, I guess. It's just not that good. Be below a lot of these guys. Njai is another play you probably play. Hinchelwood, you 100% play. Gonna put him above Gross. There you go. He's on. Lot of Garners. I'm seeing a lot of Garners. I'm gonna drop Garner around Shrewsbury Hall and Stack, I think. Scott. Scott's going to go above Tav and above Hill. Maybe above Garner. Does that look right? It looks okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Few Gordon questions here as well. Gordon can go. I'm really worried about his minutes. I guess if you have him, you maybe play him above like a player with a terrible fixture, but outside that, Gordon's going low. He's going low. We just can't be sure about his minutes right now. It's so difficult to place a minutes risk player because part of you just says don't even bother risking it, but there's some players that they're maybe worth risking over. I'm gonna go here. No, I'm not. I'm not happy with this. He's staying. Impossible to place. Scorpio says Calvert-Lewin to Joao Pedro. Calvert-Lewin to Joao Pedro, and then Palmer. Question mark. Scorpio, I'm not 100% sure what this message means. No, you should not sell Calvert-Lewin to Joao Pedro, or the other, or vice versa. That would be a really sideways move. Palmer question mark. I mean, you could sell Palmer to Saka if that's what you're kind of asking. Then Palmer to Saka could be a good move. If you have Calvert-Lewin and you do really want to sell him, then I'd probably go for Gyökeres if you can afford him, and if not, go for Welbeck. Hopefully that helps. Should we play Munoz? I mean, yeah. You should play any Crystal Palace player you buy, you play. Any you buy, you play. Saka alternatives if transferring out Palmer. Szoboszlai is probably the other player I really like. One last for the bench list, Hincapie. Hincapie's not going on the bench list, but yeah, you play him. What do you think about Szoboszlai, mate? I like him. I don't think this Chelsea fixture necessarily suits him. You know, if you're looking for free kick, corner goals, Chelsea maybe not the best team to target necessarily. But I expect Szoboszlai to play in an advanced position this game week, and well, I think he will. I'm not 100% sure, but I think he will. He gets DEFCONs often, and I like next game week for him against Aston Villa. So I do like Szoboszlai as a pick. Uneducated here says, who would get more points, Virgil or Calvert-Lewin? Probably Calvert-Lewin. I mean, to be honest, if I'm totally honest, they're probably going to get 2 points each. But I think maybe Calvert-Lewin with penalties, I'd be more willing to take a chance on. But yeah, the same. 2 points each. Cherki for Semeno for a hit? Absolutely not. Lots of people asking about Krupa Jr. Would go reasonably low for me, I think. I'll put him with the other Bournemouth guys down here. Maybe around Tav. Watkins, you're not going to bench any Aston Villa player against Burnley, realistically. You just got to start them and hope for the best. A lot of people are asking bench-related questions, and they are answered on the bench list, incidentally. Let's go for a quick Palmer here as well, who I'm going to throw just above Joao Pedro. Right, that's a healthy bench list. Right. In terms of goalkeepers, if you have Henderson or Donnarumma, Donnarumma, you're obviously going to play above Henderson if you have him. Remember, these are not transfer suggestions. And then we're going to put, like, I don't know, Kelleher, Dubravka. Hi, Dan, should I sell Bowen or Thiago to Gyökeres or Rice to Saka? Maybe. Oh, it's so tight. It's such a tough one. Let's say Thiago. Sell Thiago. But I'm not totally convinced by that. To solve this conundrum, you might have to do a separate bench list and transfer list. I already do transfer lists. It's called Buy, Sell, Keep, Avoid. It's a very popular video on the FPL Mate channel. I do it every week. Chelsea says, Tav to Njai for some end of the season. Spice, no hit required. I don't mind that move, actually. I quite like it. I quite like it. I think Njai is probably Everton's best chance to break down a low block Crystal Palace defence, because I think I know Everton have scored a lot of goals recently, and that is what is putting some people off going for Crystal Palace defenders. But we do often see Everton struggle against low blocks, and really the only way, from what I've seen, that they kind of unlock these low blocks is Njai trickery, because he is such a brilliant player. So yeah, like him. And good fixtures beyond this game week as well. So I like it. Who's Verbruggen? Good point. His name should be Verbruggen. Unless he is Verbruggen. Hold on. 1 second. There you go. Verbruggen. It does seem to be a common issue on the deadline day. But, like, we could do 2 lists. We absolutely could do 2 lists, Jack. But it was just going to get confusing. And all that would happen is I would try and do the bench list, and people will suggest transfer players. And I'd try and do the transfer list, and people would try and suggest bench players. Right, Sid Vicious says, 1 free transfer, 0.7 million in the bank after buying Saka and Lacroix. So do Hill to Canvo or Roll, or do Semeno to Cherki. Maybe planning to do Joao Pedro to Gyökeres next week. So I don't think I'd do the Canvo move. I would consider the Semeno to Cherki move. And if you think you're going to do the Joao Pedro to Gyökeres anyway, then maybe just do that now. Jacob says, missed my super chat. Sorry, I didn't put the message on there. 28 points behind in my mini league. I own Cherki. He has Semeno. Both have triple captain left. Do I TC Cherki or O'Reilly for a big swing, or just match him? So you're thinking he's probably going to go Haaland? Look, I don't think it is absolutely necessary that you make that differential triple captain move. But I don't know. What would I do? 28 points behind. Maybe do it. 28 points. It's not a small gap. It will be difficult to do that with transfers and differentials alone. Yeah, Jacob, if you're willing to go for Cherki triple captain, then do it. Only if you're willing and you feel that there's no other way you're going to be able to catch up. If the rest of your team is fairly similar to your rival, then yeah. Technically, caterpillar is not a bug. It's not a true bug. I'm using the term bug as an informal way of describing many invertebrates, really. If you want a true bug, is a ladybug a part of the true bug family? Probably not, no. Don't think it is. Benteka says Palmer to Saka for a -4. No. Haaland or O'Reilly captain chasing. If I'm chasing, I think I'm more likely to do Cherki than O'Reilly. I'm not fully on board with the O'Reilly captaincy. I'm not fully on board there. Would not take part or do Palmer to Saka for a -4. No. Do Joao to Gyökeres this week requires a -4. Wouldn't do it for a -4. No. Ogang says, which to replace Joao Pedro for less than 7.3 million? Not Welbeck funding Saka. There isn't anyone, mate. There isn't anyone. I would look elsewhere to fund Saka. I mean, could you do like a Semeno to Cherki to fund Saka? If you're downgrading Joao Pedro, if you're replacing Joao Pedro, it kind of has to be Gyökeres or Welbeck, or just keep Joao Pedro, because I'm not actually convinced, or Haaland, of course, Haaland, but I'm not actually convinced there are that many forwards better than Joao Pedro this game week. LD says, thank you for great content every week and impressive patience. You're welcome, LD. I don't know how impressive my patience is, though. I don't know. Which part of the UK are you from, Dan? I am from the Cambridge area. Thank you very much for the super chats today, guys, by the way, and the kind messages. Very, very awesome stuff. Shepsy just says, Njai. Are you asking about Njai again? I feel like I gave you a fairly lengthy answer on that one. Oh, he's now messaged me in a group chat saying, Shepsy in the chat is my friend, by the way. Ignored me, wow. Callum, I gave like a 2 to 3 minute answer on what I liked about Njai and the advantages of going for him. I'm not doing it again. Deary me. James says, thoughts on Richards to Canvo? 1 free transfer left. Worried about Richards' game time. I'm on bench boost as well. Richards to Canvo? No. That's not worth a transfer. Can you elaborate why Virgil should be on the bench? Because Liverpool and Jeffrey Jackson is not happy either. Liverpool are defending really poorly recently. Really poorly. It's not looking good at all. And Chelsea are a solid attack. It's Chelsea look bad at the moment. Yeah, so do Liverpool. They both look bad. Let's look at Liverpool's clean sheet odds. You can't see this, but I can. Liverpool have a 25% chance of a clean sheet. It's not great. So do Semeno to Cherki for pre-funding or roll. I mean, if you know you need to free up some money and it's for free as a free transfer, then Semeno to Cherki works as a move, I think. And it's something I would do. If I knew I would have to free up money, I'd just look that one in. Sidhu says, Richarlison Nazario is a differential for the last 3. My concern is it looks like Solanke is going to be back a little bit earlier than maybe we expected. Like, Solanke's not even been ruled out of Gameweek 36. Like, he could very well play this game week. He won't, but he might. Certainly Game Week 37 looks like a good return date for Solanke. So really, if you do pick Richarlison, are you picking him for the final 3, or are you picking him for this week and then, you know, it ends up he gets benched in the final 2? Very possibly. So right now, I'm kind of completely off Richarlison as a pick because of the news that Solanke is going to be back a little bit sooner than expected. So there you have it. Eve says, I'm chasing but behind 14 points. Which option is better? Semeno to Cherki, Tavernier to Sobo, Senesi to Saliba, Tavernier to Casemiro. Definitely not that one. DCL to Gyökeres, Senesi to Danso. I like the first one the most, I think. Yeah, option A I like the most. Ahmed says, is Buendia in for Tavernier a good punt for the free transfer? No, because I would be too worried about rotation of Aston Villa players, not just this game week, but also going into subsequent game weeks where we were expecting heavy Aston Villa rotation in 37 and 38. Good defenders for 37 and 38. Aside from Arsenal, which is the obvious answer, I don't mind an Everton defender, probably Keane. Keane, I'm quite keen on for 37, 38. Sid Fisher's here with another super chat. For only this game week, rank Doku, Cherki, Semeno, O'Reilly. Cherki top, then O'Reilly, then Semeno, then Doku bottom. Doku wildly inconsistent, and to be another. Oh, I didn't even when I was doing my whole Cherki versus Semeno spiel earlier, I completely forgot to mention another big reason why I've made the move is because neither Brentford nor Crystal Palace are particularly susceptible to conceding goals from wingers. They can see goals from very central areas, and sometimes Semeno does drift in centrally. Doku not so much. He's a bit wider usually. Doesn't get in the box to finish chances really. But yeah, that does really dampen the appeal for me for Doku and indeed Semeno. Belinda Jeet says head-to-head elimination, Struijk to Van Hecke or Pedro to Gyökeres. Need to high risk, high rewards. Well, the high risk, high reward play is to bring in Gyökeres. But I think Van Hecke in for Struijk probably improves your team more. Nave says, bring back the good old-fashioned toin cost for the people who want a risky captive decision. Where is my toin? Here it is. Or, I don't know. Is this the original one? Not sure. But we do have the toin. Is there any 50-50 decisions worth making? That's the question. Although I quite like the duck race these days. Haaland, Cherki, or O'Reilly to captain if chasing. Cherki if chasing. Do I use my bench boost this game week? Depends what your bench looks like. You play at this point. You just play your bench boost whatever game week your bench is at its strongest. And I'm even if you told me all your whole squad, there'd be no way of me working it out within a few seconds. It has to be done yourself, unfortunately. It is a little time consuming to figure that out. And with 27 minutes to go, the pressure's on. Duck race. Can we get one for Palace defenders? We could do, couldn't we? All right. And you want Robin Ruffs on the bench list? We can do that. Okay. Let's do a duck race. I'm going to set one up. So we need Lacroix, Munoz. Okay. For those of you who are still unsure which Crystal Palace defender to buy, fear not. The question will be answered for you now. If you're still unsure which defender to buy, this race will decide. An air horn noise. Can you hear the quack in the background? I think I got my desktop sound off, but you might be able to hear it through my microphone. So, Richards is currently leading, which I'm not sure I love, to be honest. Can Lacroix make some ground here? There's still 30 seconds left. I mean, Richards way ahead at this point. It does seem that a lot of people who are unsure about their Crystal Palace decision might be buying Richards, but it looks like JD Canvo is making a bit of a resurgence, but it's Mitchell actually coming in here who is going to take the lead. It seems like actually a lot of the worst defenders on this list are winning. Could get close. It's going to be the worst Crystal Palace defender in this entire list, in the entire race, has won. Tyrick Mitchell is the winner of the Crystal Palace defender duck race. You saw it here first, guys. Can it stop quacking now, please? How do I mute that quacking? Yeah. Best of 3. Not happy with that result. Okay, well, let's shuffle the characters and we can give them some different outfits. I feel like maybe we take out. Let's do best of 3. We'll do another one. Oh, for duck's sake. Can you duck race Keane and Sobasai, please? A little bit too specific, my friend, I'm afraid. Right, we're going to go with a second duck race. We'll see if we can get a better answer than Mitchell, because Mitchell is not what we wanted. We didn't want it. And whenever you get a result that you don't want, you toss the table, you throw your toys out of the pram, you throw your arm across the chessboard, knocking over all of the pieces, and you say, let's start again. I didn't like the result. Let's do it again. And that's what we're doing today. And it looks like Mitchell is going in the lead. Okay, brilliant. I'm sorry, for those of you who wanted to make a Crystal Palace defender decision, it does seem like you might be going for Mitchell again. However, Munoz is making a resurgence here. How accurate is the duck race? Accurate to what? Right, what about Munoz? I feel like that's a slightly better answer. There we go. Cool, right. Well, pick your favourite. Let's do a captain. I think really the only players I'd consider captaining would be Cherki, Haaland, and O'Reilly. There's no other players who are worth captaining, in my opinion. So let's do a captain duck race for you. Let's pick some cool outfits for them. I quite like that. Actually, I want to maybe make one. Oh, they're different colours. This is perfect. They're all different colours. Right. I said best of 3. I lied. I got bored of the Crystal Palace race. Okay. This is it. This is the final duck race we're going to do today. Joe's just said in the chat, Liverpool and Chelsea's projected goals have dropped off a cliff. I did see that, but if they dropped again, -2.8 for LFC, 0.2 for CFC. I have asked for Liverpool team news, but I've got no response. My expectation from looking at the odds earlier is that probably no Isak. But if the goal scoring numbers have dropped off this low, it probably also means no Verts, because we know Isak has not been in full training, and we know Verts has picked up and has had an illness this week. So that probably to me suggests that both of those guys are going to be out this week. Could it mean, I don't know, maybe Rio play him? Maybe some young players play him? Some less experienced attackers? Maybe Szoboszlai's out. Nah, Szoboszlai won't be out, surely. Right, final duck race. Alan is desperate in the chat for me to show my team. Please spam show team gang in the chat in dedication to the show team gang. But this is our captaincy race coming here, and Haaland is just behind Cherki at this point. O'Reilly slightly behind the green duck, but Cherki, our differential man, is currently leading the way. Those of you guys looking for a differential captain, looking for a reason to go for a Cherki or an O'Reilly above Haaland, you are currently justified as Haaland goes behind. We've got a super chat, but we will come back to that in just one moment. Differential captainers, I think you may be in luck, because O'Reilly is now taking the lead with Haaland still in last place, but he is maybe going back up to Cherki. Not quite. Cherki stays ahead, but Haaland does seem to be making a late resurgence here going into the final 5 seconds of the race, and it is unfortunately going to be boring Haaland leading the line for Man City, leading the race, and is going to be your captain for this game week. Captain Haaland, what can we say? Right, I am going to answer this super chat. This is from HQA Heisen. He says, I'm playing 3-4-3 with Raya, Gabriel, O'Reilly, Lacroix, Bruno, Furs. I don't know who Furs is. Furs, Cherki, Anderson, Rogers. Oh, Bruno Fernandes. I see. Bruno Fernandes, Cherki, Anderson, Rogers, Welbeck, Haaland, Thiago with Porro, Wilson, and Rodon. What should I do? I have triple captain. It depends if you have any transfers. It looks like you've probably already spent them. There's no surgery that needs to be done to this team. This team is absolutely fine. I would maybe play Wilson ahead of Thiago. Maybe. But, like, that's about it. The rest of the team looks pretty good to me. I guess if you have a spare transfer, you can maybe, and you've got some money in the bank, you can maybe do Thiago to Gyökeres, but I wouldn't do that for a hit. Haaland it is. The Ducks have spoken. Indeed. I'm going to throw the vice captain on Cherki, actually. I don't know why I didn't do that already. Right. It might be a time. I think the Liverpool goal scoring odds drifting maybe encourages me away from the Szoboszlai move, and perhaps towards the Gyökeres move. So I think we finalised this team with Gyökeres in for João Pedro, I think. Red Sox Kid has sent $5 Australian Ds with his or her team. Raya, O'Reilly, Gabriel, Anderson, Cherki, Bruno, Rice, Stack, Haaland, João Pedro, Thiago, Dubravka, Chow, Senesi, Dango. Nothing in the bench. One free transfer. Should I make a transfer? Bench boost. When I bench boost Dubravka, Chow, Senesi, and Dango. Nothing in the bank. Can we replace Dango with nothing in the bank? Probably not, right? Dango's pretty cheap. Let's have a look. How much is Dango? Because if you can replace Dango, then this is certainly bench boost worthy. It's not perfect for a bench boost, but you know it's fine. Dango. What are you doing? Where are you? I just need to go to Brentford, I think. I'm missing him somehow. Oh, he's 5.7. So really, we're looking for a midfielder at 5.7 or less. Who is there? Oh, Hinchelwood. Yeah, okay. Red Sox. I would strongly consider doing Dango to Hinchelwood and bench boosting that. I think that could be pretty decent. Cool. A few people asking bench-related questions. I am going to put the bench list on screen for you. Another super chat here from Heisen, who says, so yeah, I was thinking of benching Thiago and putting Wilson or Porro. Yeah, so, I mean, on the bench list, I haven't got Porro on here, but I have got Wilson ahead of Thiago. So that does maybe suggest a Wilson ahead of Thiago. I don't think I would put Porro in instead of Thiago. Sophie says, would you go with DCL or switch to Welbeck? For free, DCL to Welbeck, I would strongly consider it. I would strongly consider DCL to Welbeck for free. It's not 100% necessary as a move, but I do quite like it. We've got a name here that I don't know how to pronounce. Maybe that says a lot about me. And they say, I am second in my league and need to play a bit risky to catch up with the leader. What about selling Ryan or Tavernier and buying Hinchelwood for -4? Just can't recommend -4, man. These moves are a little too luxury for a -4. I think you just put yourself further behind. Because there's nothing inherently wrong with Ryan or Tavernier. They're fine picks. They're okay picks. They're just maybe not the very, very best. And I think if you're taking a -4, you need to significantly improve your team. So I wouldn't do it, no. Thank you for the super chat. Sid here says, if you're on free transfer... Oh, if you're on free hit, maybe, do you mean? If I was on free hit, I would go triple Palace, yeah, I think. Or at least double. It's free hit. If I was on bench boost... If I was wildcarding to bench boost, but that's, you know, in the past now anyway. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'd go double Palace if I was on a free hit. I'd go Lacroix and probably Canvo and then just leave the rest. Anna says, I have one free transfer left. I have Semeno, O'Reilly, Haaland, Lacroix. Is it worth using my transfer on another Crystal Palace player as I'm happy with my defence? Or do I swap Senesi for Cherki? What do you mean swap Senesi for Cherki? What do you mean by that? Oh, Semeno for Cherki, you mean, maybe. I don't... If you're happy with your defence, I wouldn't make the second... I wouldn't bring in the second Palace player, no. Look, I like Semeno to Cherki. It's not for everyone. I don't want to estimate or oversell, maybe, the value of moving Semeno to Cherki, but it is a move I like. It is a move I've made. If you're doing it for free and you feel that you're happy with the rest of your team, then I would strongly consider moving Semeno to Cherki in those situations. But it's a luxury move, let's be honest. We got BJP says, hey Dan, took a risk, sold Thiago for Welbeck. Still have Strauch on my bench boost. Do I use my other free transfers to get Van Hecker? Is it worth it for Van Hecker? I think given that Van Hecker is not super useful for future game weeks, I maybe wouldn't make that free transfer. Let's save it. Got 5 free transfers. Would you use 4 to do Palmer, Strauch, Semeno, and Joao Pedro to Saka, Lacroix, Cherki, and Gyökeres? I mean, Max, that is exactly what I am doing. So, yes. Yes, that is exactly what I am doing. So, yes, that is what I would do. So, let's lock in my my final transfer move. Let's do it. I'm happy. I'm convinced. I'm happy and I'm convinced. I'm going to do Joao Pedro to Gyökeres. We're going to have some fun. We're going to flex the team value a little bit. We've got loads in the bank. Let's just do it. Make the transfers. Thomas says Gyökeres won my 10 minutes race over JP. Wow. Joao Pedro to Gyökeres. This could go wrong, by the way. This could go wrong. But we're gonna do it anyway. I think. Oh, this really has. I really don't want to. Again, like the Semeno to Cherki transfer, I don't want to oversell this transfer because actually, I do think Joao Pedro has a good chance of scoring against Liverpool today. However, I want Gyökeres for 2 game weeks. They need to remember this is not just for 1 game week. Of course, I could just wait and do this move next game week, but I kind of want to seize what's in front of me. Don't want extra transfers for 37, 38 chaos. I do. But I pretty much regardless want triple Arsenal for next game week. So why not just do it now? I'm not totally convinced by this transfer. As you can probably tell by my delaying and procrastinating, I'm not totally convinced by this transfer. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm not going to be a good boy. I'm going to be a naughty boy and go triple Arsenal now. Cool. Right. Well, that's me locked in. 9 minutes till deadline. Cherki captain over Haaland. Good differential. If you really want to go different, yeah, Cherki is definitely where I'd be looking to go. Bit of a risk though. Right. We are doing it. We are Victor Gyökeresing it. 1 week early. I just can't see myself going for any other Arsenal players the more I deep it. So I'm going for it. Right. Bench 1 Munoz or Van Hecker. You're not benching a double game week player. You've got to play. Well, really, you've got to play both. You've probably got to bench someone else. Havertz can start. I don't think he can. Considering he's played 0 minutes in the past few weeks, there's no way Havertz is chucked in and starts ahead of Gyökeres. And Gyökeres has been playing well. And also, even if Havertz does come on and get some minutes, do we even know it's going to be in the forward position? Could well come in midfield. All right, I am going to line up my team actually. Yeah. Let's. Okay, this is going to be annoying. And then we're going to put Arsenal on the right. We're going to put Man City on the left. Actually, I kind of want Arsenal on the left. Okay. Oh man, if I go do this now, is this going to mess things up? Stop it. I don't want to hover over vice captain. I want to go here. And why are you going on the left now, Welbeck? I want you in the middle. Okay, I see how this works now. So all I need to do is change the order. Oh, man, I can't believe I'm messing around with this with 8 minutes to go. People have got FPL questions to answer, and I'm doing this. No. Yes. No, why are you going on the right? Okay, let's take them all off. So, first, Haaland in. Then, Welbeck in. Then, Gyökeres in. Great. You go there. I've messed this up already. Cherki goes there. Come on. Be a good boy. Then Bruno's going in. Then Saka's going in. Cool. That's lined up. Then we need to take you out for you. And then back in. Wait, what? Oh, it's because I just did the same same switch, essentially. Why is Van Hecken now over there? Okay. Is that good? Are we lined up? Does that look beautiful? Make sure I captain Haaland, for God's sake. Does that look beautiful? Do I look beautiful, everyone? Does my team look pretty? I think it does. Right. Okay. Final questions. Please also like and subscribe. Much appreciated. Ryan says my team looks kind of. Team looks gorgeous. Good to hear. Let's answer some FPL questions for the final few minutes. And I'm glad those with a touch of OCD and like aesthetics are pleased with what we've done. Bench Enzo or Hill? I would bench probably Hill. Time well spent, Dan. I think that's debatable. Gordon to Saka or Thiago to Gyökeres and Gordon to Saka. If you are asking questions, we've only got a few minutes left till deadline, so try and keep your questions as concise and small as possible. We're going to do a bit of a quick fire for the final few minutes of the stream today. So keep your questions as short as possible because I don't really have time to think about questions that are too long. And I want to make sure everyone gets an opportunity to get their question answers. Bench Saliba or Rice? I would bench Rice out of those two players. Who do I start? Wilson, Tavernier or Hill? I would start Wilson. Kadioglu or Munoz? What to buy? Neither. To buy, neither. To start, I guess Munoz. But I would want to start both. Start 11 Hill or Wilson? Start 11 Hill or Wilson? I don't really know what that means. Collins for Lacroix for -4? No. Berg? What is that? Replacement? Strike replacement? Strike replacement, go for Lacroix, Gabriel or Saliba. Joao Pedro, Scott or Tavernier? I would start Joao Pedro out of those three. Sarr or Kadioglu? Prefer Sarr, I think. Take a hit for Lacroix? No. Would you leave Okafor in and make the most of the highest points of the bench? I'd be happy to play Pedro over Okafor rather than taking a hit. Okafor to Hinchelwood? Yeah, I like it. Scott or Pedro? I play Pedro. What do you think of who to triple captain this week? Haaland, unless you are seriously chasing, unless you're miles behind in your mini league, in which case Cherki. Worth, Rodgers to Saka for 3 free transfers. Not super convinced. Sell Gibbs White, yes. Hill or Gross? Gross. Bench Tavernier or Thiago? Bench. Oh, that's really tight between those two players. Flip a coin. Go with your gut on Tavernier versus Thiago. No wrong answers. Calvert-Lewin or Welbeck? Definitely Welbeck. Pascal Gross to start over Brighton defence? No. I think I prefer Van Hecker to Gross, for example. Maybe. It's close. Dewsbury Hall or Hinchelwood for Gordon? I go Hinchelwood. Start Hill, Tavernier or DCL? I would start DCL, I think. For the Pens, buy Canvo or Richards, and start Rodgers or Welbeck. Start both Rodgers and Welbeck, but if I had to pick one, I'd choose Welbeck. I'd buy Canvo rather than Richards. Joao Pedro versus DCL, please. Easy one, Joao Pedro for me. I quite like Joao Pedro for this game week. You know, I think a lot of people here are underestimating him for this week. Start DCL or Gross. I'd start Gross. Start 2 of DCL, Virgil and Gabriel. Definitely Gabriel, and I'm going to say DCL. Thiago or Gross? Gross. Your team looks amazing, mate. All the best. Thank you. I actually am pretty happy with my team for this week. It looks almost like a free hit team, doesn't it? But regardless, stop flexing your team, Dan. Tavernier versus DCL. I would go for DCL, I think. Triple Cherki or Haaland. I'm behind a lot. Go for Cherki. But like, given that there are 30 seconds until deadline, I would get a move on if I were you. I'd get a very big move on. DCL ahead of Joao Pedro? No. And I think with 10 seconds till deadline, guys, I think it's probably a good time to double check that my team is in the correct order. And it is. Captain's correct. Everything's correct. Yeah. That's going to be deadline, guys. We are locked in. We are locked in for the new deadline. Wow. Okay. I'm just going to post a tweet of my team. And then, actually, I'm going to use the screenshot I took on my phone. We best tweet. How are you all feeling, guys? We will stay around for Liverpool team news. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get it today. Maybe my my Liverpool friend is busy today or this morning. Gameweek 36 team locked. And then what did I do? I did Palmer to Saka. I did Semeno to Cherki. I did Strauch to Lacroix. And I did Joao Pedro to Gyökeres. And those were my transfer moves. Boring Haaland. Captain. And there we go. Doing my best impression of a free hit team. Good luck, everyone. Lucky emoji. We need a lucky emoji. Especially Hashtag Team Cherki. There we go. What a sweet. Okay, guys. Well, I mean, we're locked in. We got 12 minutes and we're going to see some team news. We'll stick around. We can do random chat for 12 minutes. That means what random things should we talk about today? I don't know. Some people still asking FPL questions. I mean, it's a little late. I can't lie. It is a little late. We are kind of locked in at this point. Let's see. So I'll ask you guys, did anyone do anything crazy in terms of captaincy? What squash is it today? It's a cool blackcurrant, but I've not really been drinking it because I've got a Lucozade Sport. So I've been drinking this, but I do also have this. This was the squash was kind of like a backup. When am I coming to Sweden? No plans yet. Thoughts on the UK local election results? Is this a good idea? Is that a good idea for me to give my thoughts on that? I have a lot of thoughts. The squash is on the bench here. I have a lot of thoughts. I don't know if it's a great idea for me to share them. It feels a trap, doesn't it? It feels like a trap. I would love to. I would. Honestly, nothing would bring me greater joy than to go on a political rant. But something tells me that it's probably not the play. We got some backpack here says, cheers, Bard. You did the same 4 transfers as I did on Wednesday. Oh, wow. You were ahead of me then. Maybe I'm influenced by you. I think I'm getting the hang of it. Anyway, enjoy your weekend, Dan, and to all in chat. Thank you very much, Sutton Backpacker. I appreciate it. No politics and football, please, says Rebecca. I don't know. I feel like at this point, politics and football are intertwined. Let's talk about PSG destroying Arsenal in the Champions League final. It hasn't happened yet, so until that does happen, and by the way, by the time it does happen, I will no longer be making FPL videos. So, well, I mean, temporarily. I don't mean permanently. One for next game week, considering transferring out Bruno Fernandes. United home to a frugal Forest. I mean, frugal Forest, a Forest team with nothing to play for, really. Bruno's still chasing that assist record. No, I mean, realistically, Andrew, no, probably not. Probably not. Are you considering World Cup content? I'm not just considering it. I've already started making it. I've already started. So, yeah, there's going to be World Cup fantasy content. Del Schaefer says I quit talking politics in USA. It's awful. It's not much better in the UK, and I think that's because I think people. I don't know if this has always been a thing, but it seems more so recently than certainly before. That people vote emotionally more than ever. They vote on single issues rather than, you know, like a wider opinion. And I think a lot of people are very much disenfranchised with politics at the moment, and people are looking for an alternative. But single policy voting is not always the best idea. Let's put it that way. Here for FPL says, I watched your World Cup content before ever seeing your FPL content. You always get me excited for the tournaments, mate. Honestly, I'm telling you, I love World Cup fantasy and Euro fantasy. I love it. I just... I honestly, I prefer it to FPL. Is it FPL that does the World Cup Fantasy? No, it'll be FIFA who will run the World Cup Fantasy game. They have had some stinkers in the past, FIFA, in terms of the quality of their fantasy game, but I think their Club World Cup game from last year was pretty good. It's not open yet, so as soon as it's available, of course, I'll let you guys know. It's not going to be open and available until at least towards the end of May. But yeah, we're gonna be going pretty heavy on the World Cup fantasy content, to be fair. BBH says, well said, Dan. Bigger picture, throwing toys to vote because of feelings got us into this mess. Let this guide your FPL future choices. I know what you mean. Yeah, it's a little messy in the UK right now, and people are angry and people are emotional, and I don't know. I think socially the country seems to be moving in a rightward direction. And I'm not here to tell anyone like what they should believe socially. I mean, like, it is the people's choice. But I do worry that by also moving economically right and not providing economic solutions to social issues, that maybe, it's kind of a case of cutting your nose off to spite your face kind of thing. And we could get in some... I mean, we're already, we're on a slippery slope economically in the UK. And I worry that if people focus too much on social issues without economic solutions, then, it's just going to get worse. And we're going to run out of people and things to blame at a certain point. We're going to run out of... Well, we're going to have plenty of emotions, and we're going to run out of people and demographics and problems to direct those hurty feelings towards. There we go. Thoughts on Doku? I'm not particularly keen on Doku. I just... It's like left wingers versus Palace, man. It just doesn't work. Don't talk politics down. Look, I didn't give any political position. I didn't criticize any political position. Right there. But look, this is a conversation that very much interests me, and I'm always very keen to get other people's opinions and stuff. I know it's not FPL, and I know some people possibly look towards FPL content to escape from the misery of politics, but I didn't say left wingers. I said that I didn't say left wingers once. Macklem says it'll be interesting to see how people whose main campaign message was on national issues deal with it being in local government. Yeah, look, we all know that both the left side of politics and the right side of politics have kind of been campaigning on local politics as if national issues could be addressed. Nothing changes. No national issues are going to change for when you're voting for your local council. Nothing. Whatever you think is going to change, it's not. He said, I said left wingers against Crystal Palace. That's a good point. Yeah. Right wingers are slightly better against Crystal Palace, for what it's worth. Country is buggered, end of. Look, we'll see, man. We'll see. I'm not gonna lie. I have, I think it's a good idea to maybe explore escape routes. Maybe. I'm just saying, getting ahead of the game a little bit. If you have some Irish heritage, or for example, and you feel you can get an Irish passport, I maybe look into that. You might not need it. You probably won't need it. Might not be the worst idea to have a contingency plan, is all I'm going to say. Um, 2 minutes till team news, by the way. Captain O'Reilly. I mean, could be interesting. So, what are you guys? Are you guys left wingers or are you right wingers? Are you team Doku or team Semeno? I'm talking about your fantasy picks. Or you're more of a centrist? I'm more of a centrist with Cherki when it comes to my Man City midfield picks. I'm more of a centrist. Jeffrey Jackson's gone all in on the right wingers. Fair play. A true right winger here. Doku and Foden? Foden's... I'm not even sure if Foden's going to be starting. Sean says, leave our passports alone. I don't know, man. We kind of might need to go there. Left winger was about Doku against Palace. It was. I'll be a substitute. Well, you're benching your Man City players. You're benching your Man City midfielders. That doesn't seem sensible to me. I have more light blue players in my team than red. What does this say about politics? Depends where you live, I guess. Red and white mean very different things politically, depending on where you are. But I think we should probably park the politics thing now. I feel I've got away with speaking about it a little bit without saying anything too egregious or controversial. I think I gave a fairly balanced view. Sophie's a right-leaning centrist. So you've got a bit of Semeno going on. Got a bit of Semeno and Cherki. Is that what you're saying? Morgboy says, I don't like Doku. All he does is give that funny little shimmy. Well, I mean, he did score 2 bangers last week. My little lad Jack doesn't care for the politics chat, but really wants to know what you had for breakfast today. Well, look, little lad Jack. I am not. I've been a naughty YouTuber, Jack, and I haven't had my breakfast yet. What did I have for breakfast? I had a Lucozade Sport for breakfast. No, I might have some. It might be a bit too late for breakfast, to be honest. I have some leftover Chinese food. I'll probably have that for breakfast. Not the most nutritious of meals, but actually, it's not bad, is it? Right, let's check this out. Ooh, big oof. Big oof. Yes, it's pretty much what I said. Man, that's also... Is that Szoboszlai right back or Jones? Probably Jones, right? I think it's Jones right back. But yeah, no Isak, no Wirtz. Well, that kind of explains. We did say, numbers going down. The projection markets down on Liverpool goals. And that's why there's no Isak in the starting 11 and no Florian Wirtz. Okay, well, let's check out Chelsea. They've got Jorgensen in goal. We knew Sanchez was not going to be available. Gusto, Fofana, Cole, no Cucurella. No Chalobah. No Chalobah. Cucurella, Hato. Is that five at the back? Well, I mean, that's another reason why the goal scoring odds for Liverpool have gone down. Chelsea going 5 at the back. Caicedo, Andros Santos, and then Enzo and Palmer behind Joao Pedro. What is going on? Okay, big changes for both teams. That's fun. That's fun. I like that, man. I like it when the unexpected happens. You see something a little bit different. Yeah, good stuff. All right, well, I mean, that's going to be a cracking game to start off the game week. Lower projected goals, but it seems to be a bit of a tactical shift from Chelsea. And Liverpool, big rotation in attack, presumably forced rotation through Wirtz's illness and Isak not quite ready to start. So let's see what happens there. But Cole's first start. Yeah, Cole finally back. Well, let's go get it. I'm gonna go on. I need to exercise, man. I need to do at least half an hour on the exercise bike, and do some weights as well, because I'm trying to be healthier. I'm trying to be healthier and fitter in life over the last few months. I didn't exercise yesterday, and I feel guilty about it. I need to get my workout in before the game. So I am going to go. Thank you so much for watching, joining me for this stream this merry Saturday morning. Hopefully you guys are going to have a great game week, particularly those Team Cherki. Team Cherki, we're in this together. Let's see what we can do. Yeah, I'll be back for, will there be a video on Sunday? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if I'll do a video on Sunday. Thing is, there's not much to talk about. If I think there's enough that is worth talking about on Sunday, I'll make a video. If not, I'll see you on Monday. But yes, guys, thank you so much. See you later. Good luck. Enjoy the football, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.